Screening, which is part of Open Roads, New Italian Cinema, a series that's presented by the Film Society of Lincoln Center and Istituto Luce Cinecittà, along with the help of the fine sponsors you've seen on screen. I want to point out that this year, in addition to the wonderful films we have running through June 14th, that is this Thursday, we have a couple of other sidebar complementary events that are kind of part of this umbrella series. One is a run of a wonderful Italian film called Corpo Celeste, which is playing across the street at the Eleanor Bunin Monroe Film Center, which is, of course, our second home. That's running all this week. We showed it in the New York Film Festival last year. It's a wonderful film, one of the most impressive film debuts by Alice Rohrwacher. Really recommend that you see the film. A second event is that as part of an ongoing series celebrating the 50th anniversary of the New York Film Festival, which is this year, we're showing this Tuesday from the 1995 New York Film Festival, L'America by Gianni Amelio, which is a great classic. If you haven't seen the film, you'll want to see it, or if you've seen it, you'll want to see it again. And last but not least, sort of in honor of our partners, the Istituto Luce, which of course since the silent era had been the producer of the official Italian government newsreels, we've dipped into their extraordinary archive and come up with really amazing clips from Italy's participation in the Olympics over the years to celebrate the upcoming Olympics. So right before this feature, as right before every feature, you'll have a short clip from one of the newsreels produced by Istituto Luce about the Olympics. When I first heard about this film, I was very intrigued because I knew the portrait, like I'm sure many of you do, by Caravaggio of the Seven Acts of Mercy. And in the same way that that great masterpiece sort of situates that cornerstone of, I think, Christian theology in the world, the medieval, the Renaissance world that it came from, what I found when I saw this film was that it was an incredibly, I think, intelligent, really sharply observed updating of those concepts. How is it that we can think of those same seven acts of mercy in our contemporary world? I think it's a really beautiful and important film, really a very interesting take on a sort of social film in a way, which of course Italy is famous for making, but with a very, very decided difference. I'm delighted that we're able to include it in this year's selection, and very happy we have the two co-directors here to introduce the film. Please welcome Massimliano and Gianluca De Serio.
Well, thank you very much to Richard and to you to come here to see our movie. We are very glad to introduce our movie to American viewers. I mean, I want to just tell you little things about the movie, not all the story, because it's a sort of mystery, moral thriller, I can say. And the story was inspired by our real experience with our grandfather. He died for a throat cancer, and we stayed a lot of months with him, the last month of his life, and we experienced a new form of communication with him, because he couldn't talk with us, couldn't speak. So we communicate through the gesture of compassion, of mercy, like feed him and dress him and taking care of him. So this was the point of starting of our project. Then it became another thing, as you will see.
Yeah, and hello. It's also a film about what is maybe the basic things that cinema is made by, the light. And so we want really to thank our DOP, Piero Basso, that he lives here, he has his family here, and he's a teacher. And and at the end of the screening, he will be there to answer to your questions. Thank you very much. Enjoy the movie.
Okay, just to emphasize, we will have a Q&A at the end, so if you can, please stay. Please welcome once again Massimliano and Gianluca De Serio. And cinematographer Piero Basso. Let's see, yeah, there. And maybe Michael in the middle for translation. Piero, great. So many questions. To start off, could you talk a little bit about how the 7 acts structure the screenplay? Do you want us to sort of look at each chapter and think of that particular one, or is it, how could you say, more open than that in terms of its structure?
Yeah, difficult question. Max?
Okay, thank you. Thank you, brother. When we thought about okay, I can try it in English, and if I am in difficulty, I will ask help. We thought about that maybe these kind of chapters could be the sort of anti-chapters. I mean, one, as you said in the beginning, introducing the film, we was inspired also to a Caravaggio painting, and it was powerful for us to see as this picture, that is a big picture, it's made by 7 different little stories, anecdotes and allegorie, allegorical stories about the 7 acts of mercy, of corporal mercy. And as a public, as a spectator, we can do what we want in front of a painting, because our eyes, our look can move, and looking his own narrativity, and for example, we can change suddenly from one to another story and create our world. And so we started to think about the structure of the film, this film, very open. Even if we give to you we build a very close structure, as a prison, as a jail. But into this jail, someone can, we hope, can really make his own story and his own travel. So, for example, when you look at one of the chapters, the Didascalia, you know, the big sentences, you can looking for the meaning, where is it into the story. Maybe it's right there, or maybe it's not really there. You can find several.
Maybe it's the opposite.
Or maybe it's ironical, so in a dramatic way, you know. And so it's, it was not really chapters. No? It was just to give sort of, come si dice, a second level of lecture of the film, and then each one is free to find himself.
At one point in the writing, the story of the young woman and kind of almost the immigration story, the foreigner story, come into your imagination?
For us, this story is not a story of immigration. I mean, it is, but it's just a point of starting to make a reflection about identity in general. So, Luminița, that in Romanian language means little light, she's looking for herself in our world. And so for us, the clandestine, illegal immigrate here, it's not a social problem or issue that we want to investigate. I mean, it's not our work. I mean, we make cinema. But we think that we can take something of universal in her story, that is this lack of identity and is looking for identity in our contemporary society. So the switch in our movie is from this social background to another more existential.
Yes. And aesthetical.
They pay
existential.
Thank you.
There is an, excuse me, can I, because when my brother before said that one of the inspiration of the film was also this experience, very bad experience with our, and also beautiful experience, because we were touching the body of our grandfather in another way, as we never did in our life before. Also, if it was the last part of his life, for us was a sort of, for us that we don't believe in God, we don't believe in a life after God, but it's also a question mark in our also aesthetical research, how cinema could catch the invisible. And so when we were there, I remember that we met a lot of young girls from East Europe working as take care of old people in the same hospital. And it was powerful to meet these stories in front of us, like a gift. And one of them was called Linda, that it's also mean maybe nice, something of pure, beautiful, no? And one of the first title of this film was not 7 Acts of Mercy, but was Linda, and the protagonist called Linda at the beginning. So this meeting, for us, making cinema is also something that is always from the real life. So our meeting, relationship, loves, and Linda was one of them.
Yes, I would just to add this thing that also the story of the male protagonist is a story of immigration. I mean, transfiguration from one world to another one. No? He's dying. Maybe we try to catch this transmigration of his body, also his soul inside.
Piero, could you talk a bit about the visual scheme of the film? I was watching a little bit of it again. I was again struck by the length of the takes that often happen. Could you talk about your work in the film and some of the visual ideas?
Well, first, most of the takes that were so long were probably longer and got cut in the editing room. So we shot. There's a visual style that they have and they like very much, and I agree. It's very powerful. It's you keep the image for a much longer time that is apparently supposed in a normal kind of cinema, and this opens for the audience the vision of many more things, and it creates a number of layers for the spectator, for the audience. Regarding my experience on this movie, of course, working on a movie that is inspired by Caravaggio, and the main protagonist names means light, was a dream come true. It was an extremely visual movie. They have extremely visual ideas about the film. A couple of short films we did before were almost inspired by a vision of an image that they, like Zaccaria, for example. And so we worked a lot on creating images that were presenting, at least they were trying to present from our point of view what the character were living. And we tried to work with the light to give a kind of a physical presence to the character, to create not just a light that was showing things, but a light that was in some way a character, as it happens in the Caravaggio's painting.
And he also, I don't know if you notice it, that at the end, this light is a sound. When she is with the baby into the bus, and she's going back to the shanty town with the baby, the light enters into the bus, and it has a sound. And this is also a challenge for us, to make a film also about the different state of light, and this sort of ambiguity of the light that he has. It is material of the cinema, and at the same time it is so ephemeral, so invisible.
Let's get some questions from the audience. Yes? Questions really about the last shot of the film, the ending of the film, and the use of light in that, especially.
But this is a paradox, because at the beginning of the movie, we are in the darkness, but we can see very well her face, and we can also see the space through the little light that she moves in the caravan. At the end of the movie, we have a lot of light, but we can't see anything. So, I mean, it's a question that we ask to you as a viewer, no, as a public, what we are looking in this moment. Maybe we can't look, or maybe we can't look anymore these social problems, but also the reality. No, maybe it's impossible to catch. And I think that also is about movies in general, because movies are story of ghosts, and they are at the end they are like a ghost with a very artisanal trick, like
Truc, it's French.
Yeah, sorry.
C'est un truc.
Excusez-moi.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Could you comment that a film called Seven Acts of Mercy has quite a lot of violence in it? Could you comment on that?
Yeah, it's. I think that all is linked to all these answers, because when you are speaking about light in a symbolical meaning, I don't know. You can really you are in front of a paradox too. How much violence there is in love, and how much love there is in this kind of abjection, you know? Giusto? Abiezione? Abjection. And you know, misericordia is something, it's taking care of someone else. It means also to touch him or her. It means to it's also, I think that this film is also a film about the body in all its ambiguity. When, for example, Luminița is taking care of his hole, it's a sort of, for us, was a penetration, sexual, almost sexual. And when Antonio is undressing her, what he's doing? Maybe he's doing violence against her, or maybe he's doing love with her. I don't know. Whole this kind of chiaroscuro, I would say chiaroscuro.
Yeah.
The film is in a sort of equilibrium in this line, in balance between darkness and light, and between violence and love. For example, some people say that for the end they don't have hope. This film doesn't give us hope. And somebody else said, no, it's full of hope and light. I don't know. That's up of us. Because we are two, and we always have different ideas about our movie, and almost opposite.
Also, we have opposite thought inside us, so we are four.
No, you know, when you see the face of Luminița, the Olympia is the name of the actress, Olympia Melinte. She has two different colors, brown and black. When we saw the eyes of her, it was during the shooting of the film, not the beginning. We didn't notice it at the beginning, realize it. When we saw during the shooting, oh, Piero, please, once in the film, give her a lot of light to shoot it. This beautiful
Open
ambiguity.
Yes, ma'am. Where was the film shot?
In Torino.
Torino. It's our. Yeah, the shantytown is not so far from our home, where we live, and all the movie was shot in maybe 1 square kilometer around our house. Was easy and economical too. But we rebuilt a part of the shanty town in another place because we wanted to also to abstract a little bit the real situation.
So we can't see into the film the real town. There is not. The town is always shot by an abstract image. For example, the map of the town, or this kind of come si dice, fuorifuoco, out focus, or sovraesposizione.
Superimposition.
Overexposition, yes. Yes, it could be everywhere. Every south bar, periphery, outskirts. But it's our city.
Time for a couple more. Yes? Yes, ma'am. Right. This viewer, who liked the film very much, said that she said much of the film is really told in the faces. And she's wondering, how is it that you worked with the actors to attain this effect?
Yes, thank you. She said that it's a great film. And yes, about the faces. We really are very attached to the history of our Western art, about portrait. And so we like to shoot portrait. And through this kind of, for example, there is some scene that we shot with some, do you remember, Piero, some picture of our, from Caravaggio, for example, the scene where the girl is taking care of the hole of the old man. It's come from a Caravaggio painting. And he's always painting about made of portraits or come si dice piani a due, come si dice?
Medium shot.
Medium shot, and we like telling story through the faces of people, because behind the face there is always a story, a life, and also a landscape. We like film the skin of actors as a landscape. And so when we worked with them, with the actors, we always gave them very straight positions into the space, a composition of the image. We didn't shoot a lot, but we discussed a lot about the composition of image with light, but also with the bodies into the space. Then, thanks also this length, we asking them to find their own freedom inside. So it's a sort of struggle between our position and the freedom of the actor. For example, there is a scene when Antonio is beaten by her, then she left and he stays alone into the kitchen, and we see the scene behind the window. And this scene is very long. I remember when we shot this film, all the people around us, it's very long, it's too long. Don't worry, because he's looking for his freedom. And so we decide, out of the script, we decide to leave the last part of the scene, because the actor found this kind of freedom. And it's interesting because Piero followed him with focus. And also, even if the camera was fixed, the world around the character changed, thanks of this changing of focus, and the architecture changing during this length scene, long scene. I don't know if I was clear.
Okay, I'm afraid that's all we have time for. We're going to have to set up for the next show. I want to thank the De Serio brothers, and
Thank
thank you
you
very much for being here. And thank you as well.
Thanks.